Well, hello everyone. So here I am starting a new project thanks to Chris, who's decided to engage me in painting some 15-18 millimeter AB Russians for a Crimea campaign that the boys down in Nanaimo are planning. I hadn't touched 15 millimeter miniatures in pretty close to a decade now. And I found that I had to make sure I was beginning with the end in mind, starting from the end and working backwards. And one of the last steps that we often do is put the bases or the miniatures on a base stand or a base stand. And all of my 28-25 millimeter stuff has fender washers on them, and then they go on to magnetic base stands. So I haven't had to build a base stand in all that time. So I looked through some of my old basing material for various different other projects, and I came across this bunch from Games Workshop, a game system called Warmaster. Our nickname for it was Warhamster. And these are just about perfect for the infantry that are coming up because they are 3/4 of an inch deep by 1.5 inches wide. What I needed to do was convert them to 1 inch width, and the 3/4 is perfect. So what I did was I got these from 1999. They're over 20 years old now, and we cut them down. So I now have 32 of the base stands. So that stands out on the camera there. 32 of these base stands, and they're the ones that are in black. The other base stand material I have is a plastic card, and I don't know, I got like 50 or 60 sheets of this stuff 20 years ago. It's just white plastic, but it's fantastic for working with both plastic glue and with my preferred cyanoacrylate. So all of our cavalry and division command base stands are 1 inch by 1 inch. So I cut them out, and then I took a black Sharpie, so we can see the edge on there, and darkened the edge. Otherwise, it's just solid white plastic. Likewise, for these cuts, I took a black Sharpie to the edge where I had cut it and snapped it, because the plastic tends to discolor. Even the black plastic will discolor and take on a whitish color to it. And then we have a couple of artillery base stands. Now, because we have a limited number of officer horses for these divisional command stands, I decided to dig through my supplies and came up with these 3/4 inch square ferromagnetic little tiny metal sheets. And what I plan on doing with these is I'm going to stick them underneath the division command stand so that it causes it to become magnetic. And then I have some magic fun here. I have old magnets, and I got one that was a business card from my Orion Consulate days. I've got a fridge magnet from a local hydro company, and they grabbed this material, just you can see there, and toss it on there. It holds it just fine. So the plan is to have our little 1 inch square there that's a Army command. This is a Corps command stand, 1 inch square. We'll have these other pieces on here, and then I have little standing officers. So I'll be able to swap a division commander and put them on there, and suddenly we'll have a Corps commander. And likewise, we'll have a division commander, and we swap them on there, and suddenly we have an Army command stand. By putting that in the center and then having some offset. I'll have 2 little offset officers. They're standing, but they'll do the job of the correct size base stands, and we swap out some horses. Again, so beginning with the end in mind, making sure that I had at least enough to get the bare bones basics of what we had at hand, and be able to put them to work on the tabletop. The next thing I wanted to do was be able to identify the individual commanders, potentially, or the brigades that are on the table. Now, what I use for my metal base stands is a piece of bent metal that is then magnetized onto the base stand. Well, that's not going to work with these. So what I came up with, of course, we have scrap material from, this is more of the plastic card here, some leftover magnets. This scrap material, I did some cuts for it that are 1 inch wide by 1/4 inch. And there's enough of them that I'll be able to do the command stand for each of the battalions, or each of the brigades of foot and horse, and each of the officers, including the Army and Corps commander. And my intention is either possibly with a bit of green stuff, or maybe with some of this other plastic card that's left over, is we're going to put a little tag. It'll be standing vertical there on the back of the stand. So the soldiers will stand up here and be facing that way. 3 per stand. And then these will be able to take a sticky note, and you can put some information about who it is, maybe the brigade strength as it increases. There's a bunch of information that you'll be able to put on there in just a very small sticky note. And you'll be able to see immediately where the division or brigade command stands are. You'll be able to identify the differences between the brigades. We're going to talk about that a bit too, because I have some plans for how I'm planning on painting those as we set things up. And of course, we got messages coming in the midst of recording. Isn't that always the way? So, there's the base standing material. Now we're going to take a break here, reset, and we're going to have a look at the miniatures coming out of the bags.